Hello, friends. Good to be with you. As always, I hope this finds you well. Over the last few months, this podcast has given us an opportunity to do a number of things. We've done some short Bible studies. We've talked about some prayer practices. There have been some topical or thematic kind of conversations around things like faith and science. We've talked in some cases about plans or directions for the church. We've celebrated our seniors. This time, I would actually like to lift up a few specific upcoming events in two different categories. The first has to do with all of the conversation right now in our country around racial justice. We talked about this a few weeks ago in worship at Pentecost, and maybe we'll link to that sermon in this episode. But there are a few opportunities coming up that I want you to know about. Obviously, if you listen to this podcast after they've already happened, you won't be able to participate then, but no doubt we will be continuing to have these kind of conversations into the future. So a few things, again, related to how we're responding, first of all, and that's an invitation to continue to support the High Lake Initiative. This is a focused way that St. Philip the Deacon has chosen to help rebuild in South Minneapolis particularly. We have a couple of our staff who live right in the epicenter of some of the riots, and so we are doing some efforts around making the neighborhood prettier through this Paint Our Peace initiative, and then through an initiative called Common Table South, which is actually bringing food trucks in among the devastation, or as part of the devastation down there. Restaurants were just decimated, and so this is a way to actually bring food in and to support some of those food trucks. And by the way, I should say, you can find everything I'm talking about at spdlc.org/live stream, where you will find a link every week to something we call the Partners in the Gospel. And so this is updated weekly. So what I'm lifting up is actually from this past weekend. So the High Lake Initiatives is the first thing. And then a couple of conversations coming up. The first is going to be on Wednesday, June 24th at 7 o'clock p.m. That will be a conversation about the movie Just Mercy, including all four of the pastors. It will be on the Zoom platform. To get login credentials for that, just email info@spdlc.org, or again, you can go to the insert here I mentioned before. So again, Wednesday, June 24th, 7 p.m., a conversation around Just Mercy. Apologies in last weekend's insert. It was wrongly noted as Tuesday night. It is again Wednesday night, June 24th, 7 p.m. And then a little further out, on Tuesday, July 21st, there'll be a conversation on a book called Living into God's Dream. This is actually a repeat of a book conversation we had during the program year about the same book, which was very well attended, and there was a good response to it. So again, Tuesday, July 21st, 7 p.m., a book conversation around the book Living into God's Dream. That will be led, by the way, by a professor from Lutheran Seminary named Dr. Mary Hess. So those are a few, and again, we'll have more coming up, I'm sure, but a few things related to issues of racial justice, how we're responding, how we're continuing to listen, how we're continuing to learn. The final event I wanted to lift up for you, again, it's next week from when we're taping this and from when you will be seeing this on Wednesday, and that's two events on the same day. This is on Tuesday, June 23rd. One of them is part of our conversation series. And those are, I believe, at 1 o'clock, although now I'm seeing the time is not indicated. I'm almost sure it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It'll feature Teresa Johnson, who practices elder law and estate planning. Again, we did a similar overview or led by her last year, which was very well received. So we're going to do one event as a conversation, and then later that night at 7 o'clock, she will repeat it for anyone who would like to join. Those are both on Zoom, and again, you can get the Zoom credentials at info@spdlc.org. Email us and we'll send them to you, or you can find them in this insert. This is connected to our long-term strategy that St. Philip the Deacon has of trying to build up the St. Philip the Deacon Foundation and to give people an opportunity to leave a legacy. As a pastor, I believe that everything that God gives us is God's ultimately. And yes, we're invited to be generous during our life, but we're also asked to reflect on where are we going to leave our legacy once we're gone. And I would simply invite you to consider, if St. Philip the Deacon has been important to you during your life, to reflect on whether you want to leave a portion of that legacy to the St. Philip the Deacon Foundation. Teresa will talk about some of the ways you can do that. She'll talk about medical directives, about end-of-life issues, about elder care issues, and she's a wonderful resource who sits on the St. Philip the Deacon Foundation board. She's a member of the church, and I hope you'll join her for one of those two events again on Tuesday, June 23rd. So, a few opportunities for you to learn and to give back. I hope you'll join us for some of those, and I want to thank you as always for tuning in today. Until next time, be well, stay in touch, and God bless.